Hello YouTube, it's Prophet David Howard Jr. again. Another broadcast for you, more like a challenge. I want to talk to a broad variety of people on today. I want to talk mainly to you atheists and you gnostics out there today. And you non-believers in the scripture and the books associated with the scripture. I'm going to go to a couple scriptures that are in the scriptures before I issue this challenge to all of you. And if you can't beat this challenge, I challenge you. Send your respectful, personal messages to my inbox with proof of this. I want to call this my challenge to all non-believers. I want to challenge all you non-believers who say that the Bible is the white man's book, which, let's be honest, the King James was indeed translated by 47 Englishmen from England. However, this book came to be, the things associated with this book came to be long before 1611. In 1611, they just compiled the things that were and maybe added a little mixture of their own little views in there. But it's still enough truth for us to believe. And with that being said, I would like to entitle this my challenge to atheists, gnostics, and all non-believers. It's my challenge to you because a lot of people, when I look at your behavior demonstrates a non-belief in the Most High. And I'm going to quickly go to the scriptures before I issue this challenge to all of you who believe that once you die, that's it, and believe that there is no God, that we all just fell out of nowhere, and we all just created ourselves and came to be all on our own. Now, in this first book that's in this book called the Scripture, I would like to read from Genesis 1 and read verses 1 through 3 as my first scripture. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." So I challenge you to prove unto me today that a God, this person who we call God, whom those of us that know a little more, we call him the Most High, did not create the heavens and the earth. Now, let's look at it like it was a court case. Okay? On one side we have you and your non-beliefs. On one side we have those who do believe and the Most High. Now, my first question to you would be, if there is no God, then why can't you create? Then why can't you say, "Let there be light," and there be light? Why can't you cause trees to come out of the ground and grass and everything else that we see? Why can't you explain or cause the baby to be able to develop in the womb? You say, "Well, I got kids." Okay, well, let me ask you this question then. Explain to me how the seed got in you to create the kids. Those are my first batch of questions. If there is no God, then why can't you create? Why can't you stop death? Why can't you do anything besides run your mouth and act arrogant and proud? The scripture says, "And God said, let there be light," and there was light. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 lights in this room alone. And you didn't create any of them. So if there is no God and God said, "Let there be light" is not true, then explain to me how it's not true. See, if you could, you can't. You can't, but I give people opportunities. If you could prove that there is no God, I'll become an atheist. I'll become a gnostic. But the problem is, common sense will tell you, just looking around, that there is. That there is. So, I want to go to something else. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 27. In this book that you don't believe in. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. Now, if you can't establish there is no God, then I don't know what you're going to do with these next couple scriptures that I'm going to go to. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment. Now, answer me this next question. Besides the fact that you believe there is no God, okay, this same book that says there is, along with our common sense and our senses, let me ask you this question. If nothing in this book is true, okay, how many people do you know that have died? You know anybody? Okay. Next question. How many people do you know that came back from the dead? Okay. So you don't believe in resurrection, right? But you cannot prove that there is no God. If you can, leave me a message. I don't want to hear your disrespect, your arrogance. I don't care about your education level. It means nothing. Merely the pride of men, the pride of life, as the scripture said. I want you to prove to me, those of you who go around saying you don't believe in God, and those of you that are acting like you don't believe in God, because He gave you the commandments. The scriptures say this is the whole duty of man, to fear God and keep His commandments. If you are out there away from the Most High, then you're an atheist. If you're rejecting Him, I'm just not ready yet, you're an atheist. Your behavior demonstrates whether or not you believe. But if you say you don't, or your actions say you don't, then what I want to know is, can you prove this? Because if you say you believe, right, and you believe that there's a hell or whatever, then those of you that are living apart from the Most High, you must want to go there. You should be doing your research. You should be sending me messages trying to ask questions and learn this truth. But the problem is you got a handful of people who think they know everything, right? You got guys, this guy left me a message, a little sarcastic message. I'm like, man, you could have kept that. You could have kept that, because if you don't agree with me, then you just don't agree with me. Just like if I don't agree with you, I just don't agree with you. We're going to be right about something, I'm going to be right. You may possibly be right. But if we disagree, we disagree. There's no need to send sarcastic messages to each other. That's foolishness. That's foolishness. Okay, here's the next scripture. Hebrews. And I'm not going to take too much time, because I know how a lot of y'all is when them videos be long. Hebrews. Chapter 11. Read verse 1. I'm going to read verse 2. And I'm going to read verse 6. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. And in verse 6 it says, but without faith it is impossible to please Him. For he that cometh to God must believe that He is, and that He is a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him. The God of this Bible will reward those who believe and those who seek Him. And there's many that can attest to that fact. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. The Most High changes the lives of those who believe, even if you don't have all the details together. Because guess what? What I'm learning through my research is that there is so much corruption associated with these books and with the whole belief principle in a God or a Most High, that nobody can know everything. Nobody. John chapter 3. It says, for God sent not His Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through Him might be saved. He that believeth on Him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. Now you don't even know how to prove that there is no God. So the very fact that you can't prove that means that you can't prove or disapprove of anything in the scripture. So if the scripture is correct and you're not in the faith, you don't believe, then you're condemned already. You're condemned already because you have not believed on the only begotten Son of the Most High, or we call him the Messiah. We call him the way. He's the way, the truth, and the life. He has to lead you to the promised land, or you ain't going to find it. Plain and simple. Your pastor can't lead you. Your pastor may be worshiping false teaching. Your pastor may be teaching false teaching. You have to find the Most High and His truth on your own. And with that being said, I'm just going to leave it at that. I challenge any of you, those of you that's walking in darkness, those of you who say, oh, you don't believe in God, those of you who claim to be gnostic, those of you who follow created religions like Islam, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, all these Illuminati religions, then I challenge you to prove to me that there is no God, or prove to me that your God is God. And I already know you can't do that because I've researched all of your religions. And I know that most of these religions in the world today, I would say, including Christianity, were created by the Romans, by the Druids, by the ancient Greeks. And they have very little, some things are a matter of interpretation, but they have very little correct as to how it really is. Some of you say, well, how do you know? You think you know everything. If you do research and you go by the best thing that you have is your senses. Your senses. Your senses will tell you, if you compare what's written in the scripture, in the book of Enoch and the book of Jasher and all the other books that are properly associated with the scripture, and you couple that with prayer and your senses, then you can learn the truth. But if you just go by with your granddaddy, your daddy, your mama, people who shed blood to force people to believe certain things, then I don't know what to tell you. You're doomed. Like I say, you're condemned already. So prove to me that you're walking in the truth by not walking in anything at all, atheists. Because the scripture says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Takes a lot of faith to get on your deathbed believing that there is no God, because you're going to start to see things on that deathbed. Many have went there, many have come back from there, and they all, those who were able to live on after being on the coma, they all have claimed to see things on the other side. The majority of them that can talk at least. So I don't know how you're going to do it, but do it. I challenge you. Prove to me that there is no God. Prove to me that your religion is the truth. Prove it to me.